Easy now, people. Sire, welcome to another Gunner Talk. It's not going to be a very long one today. This is coming to you from a nice sunny evening, Wednesday evening. I'll be putting it out Thursday morning, so apologies if I talk about stuff that might not be relevant come tomorrow. But anyway, I think it's been a really interesting week this week. Some of the comments and bits that have come out, I never thought I'd do this, but I actually watched an hour of that Arsenal fan TV conversation that went on between Lee Gunner and DT. I don't know much about Lee, apart from bits I've seen. I'd rather see evidence with my own eyes than go off what other people are saying online. And I found it a bit of a perfect example of the old Ozil situation. Is that for me, you've got the people who, on one side, just love Ozil, and there's no rhyme or reason to what they're saying. It's just he'll create more chances than what we're doing at the moment. He's a world-class player. He'll do this, he'll do that, blah blah blah. But he's never actually backed up with anything factual. Whereas if you look at what Lee was saying, he backed up everything he said with reasonable argument and factual information behind it. And it opened my eyes a little bit to things. So thank you, Lee, for that, because I found it really interesting. And it was sort of along the lines of what I've been thinking anyway. You know, people have been bad-mouthing Unai since the start of the season. Well, maybe a couple of months into the season about this whole Ozil situation. When, at the start of the season, he made him a captain. At the start of the season, he was playing him. And he dropped 2 out of 10s. And that was it. Unai said, I want to see more from him on the training pitch. I've asked him for certain things. And until he gives them, mate, he won't play. And for me, since then, Unai has been covering Ozil's back, making excuses for him. Oh, it's tactical, he's not well, but whatever excuse it is he can come out with, or his mum's dad's auntie's uncle's goldfish has passed away, so he's got to go back to Germany, whatever it is. I think Unai's been the only person that's been actually wiping his arse for him and covering his back. So I found it really interesting, that dumb tweet that he put out, quoting Bergkamp, because to me that was trying to cause a divide in the fan base, between the Ozil lovers and the Ozil indifferent people, or the haters, whatever you want to call it. I'm indifferent on it. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's been brilliant for us. Has he been brilliant the last years? Probably not. Could he still be brilliant? I'm not sure anymore. I don't know. I'd have to see it. For me, it's more of a tactical thing with Mesut, where I've been saying it for ages. If he's going to get a free role in the cam position, then we need 2 defensive-minded midfielders just sat in behind him. Torreira's one, and I don't know who the other is, because Xhaka's not capable of it. And I think if you play a creative midfielder and Xhaka and Torreira, it just doesn't quite work for me, because then Torreira's wiping everybody's arse in midfield and doing all their legwork. And for me, that's another big part of why we're crap in defence. You know, you can solely blame it on the defence, but we've got a more solid keeper now who talks to his defence. He's trying to put a line out there. We've got a good centre back now who knows how to lead a line, but he's got nobody next to him. You know, people say, well, Holding getting injured been a big difference. I'm not so sure. I think it's made a difference. I'd rather see him play than Mustafi and Koscielny, but whether he's that much of a game changer yet, I'm not convinced. But that tweet that Mesut's team put out, or Mesut himself, whoever, I'm sure we'll never find out, but I thought that was sort of biting the hand that feeds you, because for me, Unai's been making, like I say, excuses for him. And for me now, that's why Unai's come out and said what he did yesterday, which is, I'll tell you what, pal, if you're just going to try and do the dirty on me while I'm helping you out, well, fuck you. So I'm going to tell the truth, and then I'll put it out there to the fans. And what amazed me is yesterday, as soon as Arsenal put out his comments, there was people in the thread underneath saying, just play Ozil, or get out of my fucking club, you Spanish fucking whatever. And that blew my mind. He is once again telling you exactly how it is, and you just won't listen to it. The only reason Mesut is not playing is Mesut Ozil, and that is it. There's no excuses anymore. Emery's told you again yesterday, there's certain things I want to see out of him. Until he does it, he's not going to play. So to me, that is ball in Mesut's court, pull your finger out, and like Lee said, when DT tried to mention like the Pep Aguero situation and Pogba with United, under Mourinho, totally different, but people evolve with the game, and I don't think Mesut has, like I say with Lee, saying, there's not so much a cam position role anymore. It's sort of a fluid free in midfield and a fluid free up top, which is all the best teams go with. And he hasn't moved with the times. He hasn't. He's stayed stagnant. He's not moved on. He's not willing to adapt himself to be part of the team, but he'll come on Twitter and tell us all, oh, he loves the club. Well, if you love the club, pull your finger out. Because I don't like this lazy tag. I think he does work hard, and I think he runs a lot more than people realise. But he's got no one now backing him up. So it's all down to him. The excuses are gone. Like I say, Unai's not got his back anymore. He's like, well, you know, I back you up. You've dropped me in the shit, so I'll drop you back in the shit now. And it's up to you to prove to the fans whether you've got it in you or not. And if you haven't got it in you, we'll get rid of you. And that's the thing for me, is I think the club want rid of him, not Unai. I don't think Unai's got any issue with him at all, apart from he's not putting the effort in. He's just not doing what he's being told or what's being asked of him. So for me, it makes me mad at Mesut, not in the slightest. But, you know, Unai's got enough of a job on sorting this club out, you know, helping be a big part of that. What he doesn't need is this teenage drama every time there's a match. Like I say, reverting back to what Lee said, it's not about Arsenal every week anymore when it's match day. It's about, he says, is Ozil in the team? Is he not in the team? And then if he's not in the team, people see their arse. You know, it blows my mind. And I'm really at the end of my tether with it now. I've got no sympathy for the guy whatsoever. Either pull your finger out and actually on the pitch do your talking, or keep tweeting like a 12-year-old on Twitter, and all of us that are slightly mature will just laugh at you because it's embarrassing, pal. I'm a big fan of his, and I've told you guys, I think when we look back at, you know, some of the moments we've had out of him and the bits of brilliance and, you know, the time that he came to the club, we've got a lot to be thankful for, but he's not been doing anything for 18 months, and that's really got to change. You know, and like DT was saying, you know, well, he's a big game changer, and he creates way more chances when he's in the side and all the rest of it. And Lee said, right, tell me how times he's played 18 times this year. Tell me how many times he's dropped big performances, and he couldn't come up with more than 2. You know, Leicester and Cardiff, or Leicester and Newcastle, whatever it was. And that's my issue with it. If when he was in the team, he was setting the world alight, I'd be like, yeah, this is a big problem. But for me, he's not. So I don't get why all the fanboys, apart from the fact that you know, they can't see past the end of the nose, and that's a problem because it's that far up his arse that, you know, you're not going to see anything apart from parted cheeks. You know, it's blowing my mind, and I'm totally sick of it. And I think a bit the same with Ramsey. As soon as he decided that he was going to try and shaft us for more money, and, you know, it backfired and we called his bluff, I don't want to see him anywhere near the first team. I don't care if he creates more chances when he's in the team than when he's not. I'd rather look towards the future. And start playing lads that deserve to play, that are down for the club. You know, it's a shame we haven't got another winger. It's a shame, you know, he's not willing to put Saka in there or Nelson's away from the club, because I think I'd rather see Iwobi playing that cam position than Ramsey or Ozil at the minute. And like I've said to you guys for ages, he is a centre attacking midfielder. He's not a winger, but we're having to utilise him there because we've got no wingers. Bit the same with Mickey. I think he'd be a bit better in the cam position than out wide, but we're just having to, you know, as I keep saying, and boring you lot to death, square pegs in round holes, and we've got a squad full of them. And that's it for me now. I think that's the end of the issue with the Mesut thing. And if you've got any common sense, you will see now that it's down to him whether he plays or not, and that is how it is for me. You know, there's no grey area, it's just black and white now, and he's lost the one person that was backing him. And credit to Unai for having the balls to do it as well, and I think it helps that the club want rid as well, so I don't think it's a massive stretch for him to go, all right, well, you're on your own now, pal. You know, and all these little, you know, 12-year-olds on Twitter that support you, see if they keep supporting you when it's obvious that it's just down to you being, you know, lethargic, whatever. Like I say, he says he loves the club. Just love the fact that you're getting paid 350 grand a week, mate, and pull your finger out just for that. If that's not enough, then you're saying you love the club. Well, those two as a combination should be more. You know, if somebody said to me, you can play for Arsenal tomorrow, I will not stop running. And I'm sure most of the fan base are like that. And I think that's a big issue that a lot of us fans have, is that who actually cares about Arsenal that's at Arsenal at the minute? Socrates, I think, cares. Leno, I think, cares. Hector, I think, cares. Holding, I think, cares. Jenko, I think, cares. Koscielny, I think, cares. Torreira, I think, cares. Guendouzi, you can tell he cares. Iwobi looks like he cares. Ainsley looks like he cares. Laka, love that man. He obviously cares. Whether it's about the club or just putting all of his effort in, he cares and he shows it in his performance. Where there's a lot of people that are passengers at the minute. You know, and I noticed that the other night, the two players against Bate in the first leg, the two players that absolutely tried their tits off were Iwobi and Guendouzi, and they were the two that came in for the most criticism. Well, it's like that silly gif that people put of that black guy going, you know, if I go under the radar, well, nobody notices I'm shit. And that for me is why I have a big gripe with Xhaka, because we're hammering a 19-year-old who's running his bollocks off when really we should be looking at a 25-year-old who's not doing anything. And he's hiding, you know, he's playing backwards passes, sideways passes. He's not playing any penetrative passes anymore. And people tell me, oh, well, he does. But he doesn't watch the matches. He doesn't, you know, I didn't mind him in there when he was spraying the ball around. And I'd look past all of his cons, you know, the fact that he's got no defensive mindset whatsoever. You know, and I think we could do a mile better, I really do. Why can't we get another Torreira to play next to Torreira? Why do we have to keep putting up with Xhaka just because one day he might start spreading the ball around as like some wonderful deep line playmaker? Ugh, bore off with that. But this is the thing for me. We've got to ask for more from our senior players. It's not the young kids that are trying their arse off that are letting us down, it's the seniors, and that's why I've got a big issue with it. And some people really need to start laying it down on the line or just leave, because I've had enough. And I think maybe Unai and the guys upstairs now are the ones that won't accept it anymore. You know, Wenger, I loved him, but he was too protective of his players. Now, I'm a fan of protecting your players, but not till you're blue in the face, when at times you should go, that lot was shit tonight, they were shit. And as soon as I get in the changing room, the boots are going to be flying and the airdryer treatment. That's what's needed sometimes. And I think Unai's got a lot more of that in him than Wenger did. And it's why I'm happy he's the man that's going to take us forward. You know, people criticising him, that blows my mind at the minute. You know, I understand why people are saying I can't really see an identity, you know, at the moment. Because we do look a bit lost as a team. We look like Chelsea. I noticed that with Chelsea the other night. They look like us at the minute. They're just clueless. But I don't think Unai's doing something as stupid as playing the world's best, or one of the top three in the world best defensive midfielders as a sort of attacking box-to-box midfielder. That's why he's bombing out. That blows my mind. But for Unai, I think if you look back to the early part of the season, could you see an identity then to his play? Yes, you could. You could see what he was trying to do. Now, I'm not going to put it all on injuries, but Hector is a massive part of how that was working, because he can do the shift up and down. Now, if you look at who his replacements are, none of them are capable of it. And to me, that makes our play completely unbalanced. If you notice now, it's all just down one side. We've got Kolasinac overlapping Iwobi like he's a man possessed. And for me, that's a big part of why the identity's gone out of the play. You know, having a constant next to Torreira, we don't have one. We don't have somebody to switch Torreira out with. Which means he's playing every game, which means his performances are going to dip. And for me, that's a big part of it. You know, not having a solid centre-back partnership makes a big difference. Not having a solid back line all the time makes a big difference. So although I can agree the identity's gone out of the play a little bit, I don't think that's Unai's fault. I think if he's got a fully fit squad, and we look like we do at the moment, well, yeah, he needs to do a bit more. But I really can't fault him massively at the minute. I can't. I think he's got such a big job on. And he's not hiding, he's not shirking it, he's not, you know, he's not running and making excuses. He just keeps telling us, look, guys, you know, I'm trying, get behind me. And that's what I want to see tonight. You know, the time of the match kickoff is awful for a team in London. I mean, I imagine if I was trying to get there tonight, I'm not even going to attempt it. But, you know, it's crazy. I'm having to finish work at 12 o'clock to get there, you know, 10 minutes before kickoff. It's no use to anybody. So I don't get the feeling that, you know, like Unai said, he wants the ground bouncing tonight. He's not going to get that, is he? It's going to be soulless and half empty come kick-off, in my opinion, going off what I've seen on Twitter, the amount of people trying to shift tickets and so on. It's a shame. It's a shame, because I really think that's what a big part of what we're missing at the minute is just getting behind the side. You know, it's like I say, there's certain players in this squad that I can't bear. But when I get to a match and I'm at the ground, I will cheer the team on till I am blue in the face. Same as I said to somebody yesterday on Twitter. If I'm praising a player on Twitter, I'll at them in it. If I'm bad mouthing them, you won't see me tag a player in it, because who does that help? Nobody. It's completely destructive behaviour. You know, I will badmouth somebody on there, but I won't tag them in it, and that for me is a bit of maturity. And you know, it's no good just, well, you shouldn't be playing, you shit. Constantly, every time these guys tweet something, that's just, you know, if you want us to get better, that's not going to help. So that's it for me on that one. Tonight's game, you know, I expect us to turn it round. Last week's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. No excuses. the team that was out was as strong a line as who could put out. You know, you can blame the pitch, you can blame the court, you can blame whatever. Those guys hadn't played in 3 months. You know, we've got enough talent to have put them away, and we didn't. It was a soulless performance, and I think that's the problem at the minute. Is a lot of players just coasting on what they've got rather than extending themselves and really, you know, fighting for the cause. So whoever plays tonight, I want to see the lads really, really putting it out there. I'd like to see an attacking lineup because I don't think we need to be playing with a couple of defensive-minded midfielders tonight. And I think we've got to go out there from the outset and just absolutely stamp on the throats of Bate and put it to bed in the first sort of 20, 30 minutes. And I think if we can get a goal in the first 20 minutes, they'll capitulate. I think they'll fall apart. Oba, I want to see more from him at the minute. For me, he's been a shadow of himself the last couple of months. He's been awful for me. You know, he makes up for it with the fact he does score, you know, sort of one every other game, but it's not good enough for me. You know, look at Laka and people say, well, Laka doesn't score as many as Oba. Yeah, but his overall game is way better. He provides so much more for the team, and that's what I'd rather see. And, you know, that's what I want to see from all 11 men who play tonight. Like I say, I think it's going to be tricky lineup-wise, but whatever we put out tonight, it should be more than enough to put these away, sort of 2-3, 4-0, you know, 4-5-1, whatever scoreline. I want to see an emphatic win tonight and build a bit of confidence because we've got some big-ass games coming up, you know, season-defining matches, and we've really got to put the hammer down now. You know, if you look at our games left compared to other teams, we should be going into this arse end of the season now confident. You know, apart from Holding and Bellerin, I think we've got everybody else back fit now. So for me, we haven't got a ton of excuses. You know, we've just got to lay it down on the line, you know, and show the same passion that I show and I feel about the club, and as most fans do, you know, and that's what I want to see tonight. I want to see a really clinical, brutal destruction of them. I don't want to see us just try and limp over the line. I want to see us absolutely obliterate a team that are not in our league, you know, not at all. And that's what I want to see tonight. And I hope whoever is at the ground, we can, you know, put the hate aside for an evening and let's all get behind our one mutual cause, which is seeing Arsenal do well. And that's it for me, guys. That's my little rant for today. Hope you've enjoyed. Hit me with some feedback, share, like, whatever. Please support me. Enjoy the game tonight, guys. Si signing out. Take it easy.